All right, let's dive right in. We're going to break down a pretty revolutionary AI workflow today, one that lets you build fully functional apps directly from your documents, and get this, with absolutely no code. It's a vision for 2026 that's kind of already here, and it's all built on something we're calling the AI Holy Trinity.
But, to really get where we're going, we first have to talk about where we are right now. We need to look at a problem that I bet feels, well, very familiar to a lot of you. It's this constant friction, this drag that just slows everything down. You know the drill, right? You spend your day jumping between a dozen different apps. You're copying text from a doc, pasting it into a spreadsheet, exporting a chart, and then trying to rebuild it all again in a presentation. All your knowledge is scattered everywhere, and just keeping things moving feels like this manual, repetitive chore. And that, right there, is the core difference. The old way traps all your knowledge in these separate little boxes. But the new way, well, it promises to eliminate like 90% of that friction. It does that by creating a single, unified system where your knowledge isn't just sitting there. It's active, it's alive, and it's ready to build stuff for you. So, what's making this huge change possible? Well, it's because AI itself is going through this fundamental shift in what it can do. And I'm not just talking about a simple upgrade here. This is a monumental change in how we're all going to interact with technology. Now, what's really fascinating here is the distinction. See, most AI tools we use today are assistants. They summarize things, they rewrite things. But an AI builder, it actually builds systems. It takes your raw materials, your documents, your notes, and it constructs something completely new and functional. It means you stop being a manager of data and you start becoming an architect of your own tools. And this whole new way of working is powered by a combination of three really powerful tools working together in perfect harmony. This is it. This is the three-in-one Holy Trinity that makes this entire workflow a reality. So let's break down each piece. Okay, first up is NotebookLM. Just think of this as your own secure, grounded memory. It's a completely private AI space where you upload all your trusted documents, all your notes, all your data, and crucially, your data stays your data. It isn't used to train other models. This becomes your personal, verified source of truth. Second, you've got Gemini. Gemini acts as your deep reasoner. It connects directly to that NotebookLM memory you just created, and its job is to understand, to synthesize, and most importantly, to plan what to build. If NotebookLM holds the blueprints, Gemini is the architect that reads them and figures out exactly how to construct the building. And the third piece of the Trinity? That's GEMs. These are basically specialized agents inside of Gemini that act as the executors. They're the builders on the construction site. They take the plan that Gemini created from your grounded knowledge, and they do the actual work of building the final functional product. So you've got memory, reasoner, and executor. That's the Trinity. Okay, so how does this Trinity actually work in the real world? Let's take a look at how it can turn some raw information, like, say, a folder full of client onboarding documents, into a working, interactive application. It's actually an incredibly straightforward three-step process. First, you curate your source of truth. You just upload all the relevant stuff into NotebookLM. Second, you connect that specific knowledge base to Gemini. It's literally a single click. And then third, you just tell it what you want it to build, using plain English. You can use a simple, powerful prompt, just like this one. And what happens next is pretty amazing. Gemini accesses your curated documents, it understands the content, and then its specialized gems get to work, generating a live, interactive dashboard right there in front of you. No code, no templates, just a direct path from your knowledge to a tool you can actually use. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A really important question comes up right about here. We've all heard stories about AIs just making stuff up. So what makes this system so different? Why is it so reliable? And that is a completely fair question. Honestly, the biggest challenge with a lot of large language models is their tendency to hallucinate, to produce these answers that sound really plausible, but are just factually wrong, especially when they don't know an answer for sure. The answer is a technique called source grounding. It's basically a user-friendly way to describe a really powerful system called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG, and it fundamentally changes how the AI works. Before it can generate any response, the AI is forced to first retrieve the relevant information directly from your documents. So instead of guessing, it has to go find the answer in your material. So because the entire system, from Gemini's reasoning to the gem's actual building, is strictly limited to the documents you put into NotebookLM, the outputs are accurate and verifiable. Every single thing it builds can be traced right back to your source of truth, a lot of times with actual inline citations pointing to the exact document it used.
And this is the technical magic that really makes it all work. It's a process called function calling. The best way to think about it is like a super efficient librarian. When you ask a question, the AI doesn't just guess the answer from memory. It has to call the right function to go to the right shelf, find the exact right book, and open it to the right page. This chart here shows how different AI models compare on their ability to do this precisely. The darker the square, the better the model is at finding the exact source of information for any given task. It's this precision that prevents errors and makes sure the final app it builds is incredibly reliable.
So we've seen how it works, we've seen why it's reliable. Now for the really exciting part. What does this new capability actually unlock? What are people creating with this workflow like right now? The applications here are just so broad. People are building live client portals straight from their onboarding PDFs. They're turning dry training manuals into interactive learning hubs. They're even converting transcripts from a meeting into a fully automated project tracker. It's all about turning your static knowledge into dynamic, useful tools. And that's really the big takeaway here. This workflow represents a fundamental shift away from just managing information to actively building with it. It's not about connecting different apps anymore. It's about connecting your knowledge directly to an outcome. The people who master this are going to be building tools that move faster and smarter than anyone else. So the only real question left is, what will you build?